Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and in today's vlog I will be reading your favorite romances of 2022. So quite a few months ago I went to my Instagram to ask everybody their favorite romances of the year, and I picked 5 that I am going to be reading. So in this video I will be reading Sold to the Mob Boss by Nicole Fox. I will be reading The Words by A. Jade, Bending the Rules by Christina C. Jones, Confess by Colleen Hoover, and A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall. I am actually already 20-ish% of the way through The Words, and we will get into my thoughts. So this is a 650 plus page romance, which just doesn't make sense, but it is tagged as an enemies to lovers, and at this 20% mark we had gotten our heroine as teenagers. They're in high school, like their last couple weeks of high school, and the heroine starts tutoring the hero in English, and they form a fast friendship. She started their tutoring already having a crush on him, and he starts developing feelings for her, and this starts a romantic relationship that lasts like a couple of days. He is an aspiring artist. He has his own band with one of his friends, and she wants to go to not Columbia, like one of those Ivy League schools that no one cares about. She got accepted into it, and so their relationship kind of has an end date, but they quickly, you know, establish a romantic relationship. He starts talking about the future and things like that, and then he ends up booking a gig at a local venue slash bar, and she has been working with him and the band to like put their set together to do this gig, and she's been watching them practice, and she also is a singer-songwriter and she can play some instruments. She ends up one day singing a song for him that she wrote, and they go to this gig and they realize that a big music producer is there, and they basically are like, well, we can't sing any covers now, we have to sing some original music, or else we will he'll never notice us, like he'll never care. So he takes her song that she sang for him and sings it. It's kind of implied, we don't actually see that, but we switch to her point of view, and she is arriving at the venue and knocks on their door and sees him after hooking up with one of the women that they went to high school with. And so she leaves, basically says like, I never want to see you again, and then leaves. And then she goes off to college. We skip forward a couple weeks, she's at college, and she hears them singing her song on the radio. And then we skip forward again 4 more years, and that's where I guess we are at the 20-ish% mark. I'm really into it so far. I read this first 20% super fast. It's super gripping. I haven't had the best luck with this author previously, but I had heard like fantastic things about this. A lot of people have been enjoying it. So I am enjoying it. I think it's good so far. I am kind of questioning the conversations that we're gonna have around the heroine, because she is plus sized, and I know that there was some conversation to be had around this book around like her having to like forcing herself to lose weight for the hero specifically, not to like get healthy, but like to catch his attention. So we'll see how that goes. I know I think this author did that previously in another one of her books. I can't remember what the name of it is, but she had a plus size heroine in that book who did the exact same thing. I think it's this one. I didn't rate that one very highly from what I remember. I think I gave it 2 stars. So we'll see how it goes, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here. I can't imagine why this is almost 700 pages as a contemporary romance. but I've heard it's very angsty and emotional, so we'll see how that goes. A large part of the friendship that they had was that the hero comes from an abusive family. His mother left when he was 9, and he has dyslexia. He's not able to read very well, and nobody knows it. And so when she starts tutoring him, she like starts helping him, and she also lost her mother. So I'm sure like those emotional components will come in at some point. I think this also deals a little bit with addiction. I just know that this is a pretty emotional one. I will come back to you again when I'm 50% of the way through the words, and hopefully I'm not feeling the effects of reading a 700-page romance. So we will be back. All right, so this morning I actually ended up finishing the words, and I gave this 5 stars. I was going to update you at the 50% mark, but honestly, I consumed this book. Like, I ate it up, and I read the entirety of it yesterday, like the 700+ page book, and finished like the last 30 pages this morning. I definitely don't think it's like the perfect book. There's definitely issues with it that I can see, but it just worked so well for me. And I think the fact that I didn't even feel the page length speaks to how much I was enjoying this. Like, there was no point where I was like, wow, I have 200 pages left. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, honestly, when I got to the end, when I got to the epilogue, I was like, that's it? It did feel like the ending was a little bit rushed. And like, if I want to explain to you like the issues that I have, it definitely didn't need to be as long as it was. I definitely think that there was one too many conflicts. Like, there could have been several conflicts cut out, but it just worked for me. Like, it worked really well, and the hero just like was fantastic. Despite him not wanting to confront the things that he did to the heroine and the trust that he lost because of the guilt and the shame that he feels around it, things that he did for her and like the ways that he understood her were just beautiful. And there was definitely some like odd choices on the author's part in the book. I don't remember how much I told you last time. I think I had just gotten to the part where they take her song. So in the present day, the hero had got into a car accident with one of the band members. They were both high off heroin, and they get into a car accident. It kills his bandmate and the 2 people in the car with him, like in the opposite car. And his bandmate was driving, but he sort of like let his bandmate drive. And so he feels a lot of guilt, and he spirals into this party lifestyle where he's just doing drugs and causing a lot of issues. And so they hire heroin as his sober companion because they know that like she doesn't really like him, and so she's not going to like be, you know, interested in his fame and like try to get on his good side. So she comes on tour with them for, I think it's 6 weeks, and they slowly like rekindle their relationship, and it's so good. There was definitely some odd choices. So like, one of the side characters that's his bandmate is known for like hooking up with women, like they all do throughout the book, but he has an allegation of rape against a minor and impregnating her, which just doesn't feel great. Like, it ends up not being true, but like, why would you even set that up? Like, we know the rate of false allegations, and why would we even bring that in as a conflict if this person is eventually possibly going to be a love interest later on? It just, like, I just didn't like that. I thought it was weird. There was just like a lot of conflicts that could have been cut out. And the heroine's insistence that she couldn't forgive the hero because he stole her song over and over again, even at like the 70-80% mark, was a little annoying. Like, I got it. The underlying reason behind her not letting that go and like the fear of trusting him again, like, I get it. But just the fact that she kept using that over and over again in every argument was a little irritating. Like, she could say like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you for, you know, X, Y, and Z. but just that she kept using that one particular thing over and over again was annoying. And I wish that we had delved a little deeper into the hero's like psyche, I guess. Like when we get points of view of him, it's only about Lennon the heroine, and it's never addressing his guilt and shame around copying her song. Like we do talk about it a couple of times, but we don't go too deep. We also don't really get the guilt and shame and survivor's guilt around the accident that he was involved in. We don't ever get any clarification on what happened with the people that like died, and we never really get any like emotion into him battling his addiction, right? So like he was drinking and doing drugs for a long time before she came in, and he just like quit. We see him struggling a little bit with like not drinking, but we don't ever actually get a deep dive into that, and I wish that we had. Like this is definitely emotional, and I like the slow progression, and I like the back and forth. Like I enjoy the way the back and forth was handled, when generally I don't. Generally, like after a couple of times I'm like, okay, we can move on to another conflict. But I think that they were, every single back and forth they had, they progressed a little bit more with their relationship, and I was happy with at the 50% mark when they hooked up for the first time, but they still had a lot of those issues that they had to work through. So I really enjoyed the story. Like it really worked for me, and I'm shocked. Like I don't generally tend to love her stories. I think I've read a couple of her stories thus far, and I know that one of my concerns was that she is a plus-size heroine who ends up losing weight, and it is spurred by the actions of the hero, like him stealing her song and like ruining her dream. But I would say it's more about her actually like taking life into her own hands sort of deal, not because like she's trying to get his attention sort of thing, because she never has any intention of ever seeing him again. So yeah, wow, like I'm very shocked that I enjoyed this as much as I did. I really didn't think I was going to. I really thought that the page length was going to ruin it for me, and it just like, the angst and the tension and the like emotional aspects of the story just worked so well, and I could feel the emotions of the character, and the hero and the heroine both felt like really fleshed out characters. It just, wow, it super worked, and it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be like the top 10 of the year, but I really enjoyed it, and it's like a very good angsty romance. So yeah, wow, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely recommend. I have been a terrible vlogger because I have finished 2 books for this video without updating on them at all. So first, let's start with Bending the Rules. So this is a second chance friends to lovers. In the beginning of the book, the heroine has to help the hero. They were friends for a really long time, and then they ended up, like, their friendship ended up ending, and then they like spark up a thing again. This is probably like my least favorite Christina C. Jones. Still good. I still gave it like a 3-star. She's, like I said previously, very good at taking traditional storylines and making them like fresh and interesting. I just think this one missed the mark a little bit. Enjoyed the hero, but I think the heroine, there was just too much miscommunication, and that's like my biggest pet peeve. Like when you're reading a romance, you want a couple that communicates, right? Because that's a sign of a stable, healthy relationship, and there was just no communication here. The heroine would not talk to the hero about anything, and she would just get frustrated with him without like explaining anything. So it wasn't my favorite. So 3 stars for that one. And then I also finished Sold to the Mob Boss, which we will get into. So this is a mafia romance. She is sold to him on an auction that he runs, and he ends up bidding on her, and she like goes back to his house, and they have some like tension, and then like at a random point mafia groups start chasing them, and he gets like betrayed by one of his own, and they have to go on the run, and they're like running through the wood. Like it just was unhinged and weird, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. I guess if you like mafia romances with like heavy mafia elements, which I generally tend to, I would say check this out, but it was just all over the place with no cohesion at all. Like, both of them were very immature. The heroine was like overly quirky. The hero felt like he was playing at a mob boss and trying to be big and scary, and he really wasn't. And yeah, it just didn't really work for me. 3 stars on that one as well. Now I am 12-ish% of the way through Confess. I'm 18% of the way through. I'm not liking this either. So we open the prologue with the heroine, and she's like 15 or 16, and she is her boyfriend is going to die, and so she's saying her final goodbyes to him in the hospital. And we flash forward to when she's 18, I think, and she has moved back to the city where he died, and she's looking for a job, and she comes across this art studio that has like a bunch of, like, the theme is like confessions, so people will write random confessions in, and the artist will make, the hero will make art pieces out of it. And she starts working there, they go on a date, and that's kind of like, I stopped at the end of their date, and I don't like either of them. Again, the heroine is like this brand of quirky that I just don't like, and the hero is very creepy. The first chapter we get in his point of view is like talking about how he's been obsessed with her since the first time he saw her, and just saying like weird shit, and it just, I don't like him at all. Like, it's giving me very much like all my ex-girlfriends are crazy, that's why I'm single sort of mentality, and I hate that. So obviously I'm not very far in. I have read a Colleen Hoover previously. I read It Ends With Us, which, let's talk about the fact that people think that It Ends With Us is a love triangle when it's very clearly not, and one of the heroes is physically abusive. Like, it's very much written as if this is not a love, like, he's not the viable love interest, which is just weird to me that people think that it is. Anyways, I didn't really like this. I think I gave it 2 stars. And I had no intention of reading a Colleen Hoover again, and then it came up on this list, and I was like, okay, well, let's give her another shot. Not loving this, I will say. Not a fan. I'm gonna keep going. Not gonna DNF. The audiobook is only 8 hours, and I listen on 2x speed, so it really shouldn't be that difficult to get through. Like, I might just throw it on and play some video games. I don't have a problem with her necessarily. I'm a big proponent of, like, as long as there isn't anything, like, racist, homophobic, transphobic in your works, I don't have a problem with your works, like, testing boundaries. If I don't like this, I probably won't read anything else by her, just because she just doesn't gel with me. So, like I said, I'm only 18% in. It could get better from here. I'm not anticipating that it's going to, but keeping an open mind, I guess. So here I am, coming to you, apologizing because I again have finished a book without updating you, but it's not because I meant to, it's because I hated the book. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like either of them. The heroine, okay, here's the thing that bothers me with Colleen Hoover's heroines. 1, they're always quirky, always slut-shamey, not like other girls, and they always have these like internal dialogues that are always like, I don't know why I'm doing this, I would never do this. What, it's like you're just like having a relationship with someone, like you're just having sexual thoughts about someone. Like, what do you mean you would never do this? I'm confused by like that rhetoric, I guess. And he didn't get better. Owen didn't get better. He in fact just had so much drama, unnecessary drama and bullshit, and his personality was just bad. Like, I couldn't believe that he was the hero, and I didn't like either of them. And I didn't root for their romance, and the other baby drama, like it just, no. no. Colleen Hoover is not for me, and I won't be checking out any more books, even if they show up for these videos, because her writing is just not it. Granted, I think that these are like pretty old books, like 2014, 2016 are what I'm reading, or what I have read. So like undoubtedly her stories and her writing have gotten better, but I just have no interest in her stories. So now I'm gonna move on to A Lady for a Duke. Haven't started it yet. Very optimistic. And we'll talk when I have some thoughts. I'll actually try to update you at the 25 and 50% mark. But we'll talk later. Hi friends, I have to film this update because I am desperate to continue A Lady for a Duke. I am like 15% in, and I am so into this that I picked up the audiobook and the ebook so that I can listen to it while when I can't read the ebook. So this is basically about Viola, who was involved in the war, and she takes the opportunity to reinvent herself, and she is now a ladies' companion, and she gets a letter from, like, the lady that she works for gets a letter from her old best friend, who is just distraught that he thinks that she died in the war. She is tasked with like going to their estate and helping him because he's addicted to opium and alcohol, and he's just like not doing very well. So she decides that she's gonna go help him, and the angst already is just beautiful to read. Like, can you imagine that you are watching your best friend grieve you while also like having to grieve for past relationship, and like you want to be there for him, you want to comfort him, but you can't be honest. Like, you want to just be like, I'm the person you're looking for, but you can't, because you don't know how they're gonna respond to who you are, like if you reveal who you truly are. Just like, wow. It's so good. Like, the tension between them, the sexual tension between them, their chemistry is so good, and I'm like obsessed with it. I think it's gonna be a new favorite of the year. Like, I love me some angst, we all know. So this was a good recommendation for sure, and I'm just interested to see where it goes. I have heard a lot of reviews that say it slows down in the middle. Hopefully that isn't an issue for me, but wow, I'm just so excited to get into it and see where it goes, because like, I love a scarred hero, I love some angst, and I know that the way that he handles the reveal of her identity is supposed to just be so beautiful and touching, but I'm excited for the angst along the way. I'm excited for their first time together. I just feel like it's going to be so just sweet, and I'm just, I'm ready. I'm ready for the angst. I'm ready for the sweetness, so I'm just like here for it. Like I said, I'm only like 12% in. It's not very far, but they've had several scenes together, several scenes where I've laughed. I don't think I've read anything non-historical by this author before. I read a book by this author for another video that I can't remember my filming schedule, but it might be coming after this one. But I read this author's other historical, and tonally very different. The story is very different. That one's very funny. I also gave that one 5 stars. Very funny. This author just has a way. Like, they just have a way of getting the tone right, getting the dialogue right, and just like creating the perfect setting and atmosphere, and like the characters are just so fleshed out and real feeling. Like, I know I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm only like 80 pages in, but it's a good one so far. I might come back and update you at the 50% mark. I might just update you when I have some thoughts. Okay, friends, I am 51% of the way through A Lady for a Duke, and two things are true at the same time. I am loving this book. At this point, they are like tentative friends. It has been revealed who she is, and they have worked through those feelings there. Viola still feels like she can't be with him for multiple reasons. She is a lady's companion, he is a duke, and any sort of scandal her way will, in her eyes, bring about questions about the validity of her womanhood and all of that. So she's very much told him, like, we can't be friends. We can be friends in the capacity that you know the people that I work for, aka her brother and her sister-in-law, but we can't be good friends, or like we can't be friends in that capacity where we hang out and stuff. And he's like, he basically immediately was like, I will have you in whatever capacity that you will allow me to be in your life, but like, I'm fully on board. Like, I want you 100%. And she's the hesitant party of the two. And like, I'm loving it. The emotions are definitely there. The angst is definitely there. There were several scenes so far where I've squealed, where I've almost teared up. So it's just hard because the main character, like, they're both dealing with a lot. The hero is dealing with PTSD and addiction and all of this stuff, and the heroine is dealing with everything that comes along with not feeling like your identity is made valid by society, the people around you, all of that. Having to navigate a world that is different from what you were raised in. Those sort of feelings are what she's dealing with, in addition to obviously her romantic relationship with the hero and her desire for him, and them not being able to be together. And now we're kind of getting to the point where it's slowing down, and I don't necessarily think it's like a bad thing. It's just that the plot is focusing on things that aren't our couple, and given that there isn't really much for our couple to do at this point, like, it makes sense that we'd be bringing in other plot lines, because like, they could have stolen touches and stuff, but I think if the book was all about them not being able to be together, and it was like 450 pages, it would be a little boring. Very much like the second Bridgerton book that made me want to bash my face in. So I'm enjoying it. We'll see if it, like, at this point it's a 5-star. We'll see if it remains a 5-star. It has all of the markings of a good historical that I really love. It has the discussions around trauma. It has the relationship angst, but growth. So it's like shaping up to be great. But going into the mid part where it's supposed to slow down, we'll see if it stays that way. But like, the angst, the emotion, the tenderness, unmatched. Like, there was a scene where she was talking about how, like, he'll never marry me, like, we can never be together, and he's like, I would marry you tomorrow if you it's there. I love it. It's there. The tension, the sexual chemistry, all of it is there. It's beautiful, and I'm really enjoying it. So I am going to continue. Probably, I've been listening to the audiobook like while I was at work and stuff. I'm probably going to switch over to the ebook, and then just go back and forth until I finish it. But I'll update you again, I guess, when I'm done. If I have anything to say along the way, I'll update you, but I'm not really anticipating that I will. So I'll probably update you when I'm done. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, friends, so I have finished A Lady for a Duke, and I did end up giving this 4 stars. I still stand by what I said in regards to the relationship, but unfortunately, the plot around the rest of the story was not that good. It was very, very slow. It centered around helping the hero's sister have a season, and it just kind of went off the rails. Like, there was a lot of weird plots at the end that just kind of like didn't really make any sense and kind of came out of nowhere. And I wish that we had used a little bit more of the page count with the relationship instead of the other like extraneous plots, because I felt like we had a lot of relationship growth and personal growth that we could have focused on that unfortunately was not really the focus. But that is the last book for this video. Do let me know down in the comments your thoughts on anything that I read in this video. I think we had some great recommendations, some not so great recommendations, but every reader is different. Some people love some things that other people hate, but that is, you know, certainly okay. But let me know down in the comments your thoughts. I would love to have a conversation. If you're looking for more content from me, you can check out my Instagram and my podcast Instagram. You can also check out my podcast on all your favorite streaming platforms. It is a horror podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one.